And we will have her taking some questions also on roads. So, Mr. Rahman?
Um, Minister, I wanted to raise an issue, an outstanding issue, which is to do with the Parika in the hydronium market. There's a letter, I have a copy of a letter here that was written by the minister to Mr. Jaikaran, Dennis Jaikaran, who is the RU for Region 3. You would recall, I don't know, that the PPP had taken over control over the NDC's control over the hydronium market. And what has happened is the minister wrote on the 15th of July 2017 a letter to Mr. Jaikaran. And I want to read one or two paragraphs because this is a burning issue. What is happening is a question of law and order. Welcome, Minister Ferguson.
Thank you.
It's a question of law and order where the last government deliberately breached laws, local government laws, central government laws, all the laws. And the minister is referring to a particular local government act which says that let me read part of the letter, or maybe the most important part. So please be reminded that section 96, 1 and 2 of the Local Government Act, chapter 2802, provides that control of all matters relating to the market are within the control of the local authority, the NDC. Therefore, the previous decision to transfer the asset of the management of the RDC was unlawful. I hereby request that control and management of the hydronium market, which is next to Parika, be relinquished expeditiously by the RDC and returned to the NDC, the lawful owner. This hasn't been done yet. You know the amount of chaos this thing creates over the years. So what this government is trying to do, ministers, is to bring back law and order to this country. And a lot of people don't like that. They don't like that because disorder has been the culture of the last government, and particularly Mr. Jagdeo. I mean, time doesn't allow us to go into a lot of details, but I am hoping that the RU, who listens to this program, that he expeditiously take the necessary action to ensure, this matter went to the court, ministers. It went to the court. There's a court decision. But you know why it's not happening? Because Mr. Irfan Ali is on record telling the NDC, I happen to live in the NDC, so I go to the meetings, not to implement the minister's decision, the minister's, what the minister is saying, which is law. So what then, both of you are here, what do you think should be done?
Okay, we're not going to take that. I'm going to deal with it, right?
You're going to deal with it.
I'm going to deal with it with the Minister of Communities, Minister Ranaborka. And so, I have in studio here with me the Honorable Minister Annette Ferguson, MP, and thank you for taking the opportunity to be here with us. I know I extended an invitation to you, and you were a person of your word. You did say you will be here too, and it's two. And I must say congratulations to you for your nomination as a candidate for the vice chair of the PNCR.
Oh, that's good.
And I'm going to tell you, we have a lot of calls about roads. So the viewers and listeners to the program, we have here one of the ministers that's responsible and could take your question about roads. So let me go to the line to see if any road questions going to come. Caller, you're there. Okay, so Minister Ferguson, your opening remarks.
Okay, thank you very much, Minister Sharma. To these goodly gentlemen you have here in your studio, thank you for having me on your program with you to discuss, I guess, infrastructural related matters. I also want to extend good afternoon greetings to the viewing public out there. I know some of you might be seeing us live on television, or wherever you are, you might be listening to us on your radio. So I just want to take this opportunity to say good afternoon to you, and once again to have us coming into your homes by way of television or through radio.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Caller, you on there?
Yes, good
Yes.
afternoon, Miss Minister, and to the rest of panel.
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir.
Right now, we are having some serious problems on the road. Serious problems.
Which road?
And as a local citizen here right now,
Where?
I have to, I the Westfront Road, right? And the road is very bad. From end to end is very bad. From Mandela straight down, going all the way to Pontrench area. Bad right through, terrible. And this is a road that public servants have to use, ordinary people, everybody. And so people fighting against people now in the street. When you're driving, it's a car driver want to come out and rail up the car. You ain't moving before this one and the one. And I said the whole guy, in, out, up, down, first time after a long time we experience it. So we need some road. Please, we begging in Jesus' name. We need these roads to fix. And the back road also. Well, the back road is a little thing, but what we can do, we got to try with it. Because when the back road get ready, there one or two potholes, and we got to back and weave into big trucks, John Finance trucks and all of them. But right now, at John Finance area on the back road there, it's terrible. Some big potholes. And we got overseas people. I'm a driver. I'm a bus driver. And I sometimes use my bus to do special. And I have white people in my bus, and instead of be talking about the road, and people I got to take them to Ogle and these things, and they be talking about the road, and you know, we're in a serious condition. They even talking, as I drive and I listen to them talking about what the government really doing, and I feel shame, but I don't comment, I just listen and keep driving and doing my thing, and sometimes you're back in a couple of potholes, and you have to turn back and tell them sorry.
Okay, thank you. Well, your government is doing what it can, and so it must not be shamed. Drive in the good roads that you have. So you probably can't enter the bad roads. So the government is doing as much as it can. Be proud, be a Guyanese, and don't let anyone belittle your country, especially a foreigner. Minister Ferguson, what we have in store for that particular segment of the road? The public infrastructure budgeted in 2018 or planned to budget in 2019. To do anything on those roads? Is those roads part of your scope?
Well, let me just set the records clear, Minister Sharma, because you know many Guyanese are of the belief that when a road in their communities or in their villages are in a deplorable state, they lay it at the feet of the Ministry of Public Infrastructure. But this is not the case because many of the roads in these communities, especially in NDCs and municipality districts, those roads will come under the remit of the necessary NDC areas, the municipality area, and in some cases, the region. So to answer this particular caller with respect to the road in West Front Road, I am aware of the situation of that road, but that road is basically under the responsibility of the mayor and city council. But what you find happening is because of their financial constraints, the Ministry of Public Infrastructure will from time to time give the necessary support to the various municipalities and also the NDCs. So, and I recall it might have been in 2017, early 2017 or late 2016, we had done some maintenance work on this very stretch from Hunter Street way up to way up to Cemetery Road. That's what I recall vividly. But we are aware of the situation, but I don't want to sit here and make excuses is as a result of the rain and we can't, but you know, we cannot do works during the rainy season. So caller, rest assured, I will ensure that, the necessary maintenance is being executed on this particular stretch because, yes, it is one of the main arteries there in the west
City.
and east Rumfeld area. With respect to the back road, we all are aware that a contract has been signed between the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, the agency that will be acting on behalf of the government to execute this work, and Sino Hydro Construction Firm. This is a Chinese firm. And they have been awarded the contract. It's an IDB contract that will see the improvement of the Sheriff to Mandela by DSL Torrentier. The contract has been
Allocated.
the contract has been approved, and both parties signed on to the contract. But I know for a fact that there's little challenges where the contractor is concerned, but we're addressing that. So before the end of 2018, we will see massive infrastructural works being done on that main roads. And also, not only the upgrade of the road, the upgrade of the road will also include the expansion, right? Also, we'll be putting in sidewalks. We'll also be putting in pedestrian overpass, similar to what we have on the east bank of Demerara. So I want to agree with Minister Sharma. Do not, run your government down. We would have inherited communities with deplorable streets. And since we came into government, we have been doing the Ministry of Public Infrastructure with the support from the other agencies. We have been doing a lot of work on our roadways.
Okay, thank you. And so you're hearing from one of the ministers responsible for the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, the Honorable Minister Annette Ferguson,
Absolutely.
Good
and a
afternoon,
detailed
ma'am.
explanation. With the massive development that we will be having on roads and construction generally, there will be an issue, and the issue here is raw material, aggregate stones, and that may be something that we have to start out. Caller, you're there.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, good
Good
afternoon.
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 Minister Sharma, I want to say this, how is your father doing? I'm sure he's recuperating.
Yes, he's recuperating. Thank you.
And to you, I'm asking you, sir, you have a family, and I heard you said you're suffering, you're diabetic like I am.
Yeah.
And sir, would you please take care of yourself and because you have your family? I find these people here, they're not thankful. Now, to say thank you at times, I can hardly hear it. They're killing the government. They shouldn't. I'm living in Kaikan Street, and this street was the best street. Now I went out yesterday because I'm like a homebound person, and I was shocked to see the street. You can tell me if the government do the street like that? No, sir. I believe that the government should give the people the material, call them out, and let them do the place. Give them the food. Mr. Bonham did that. I don't hear people say thank you at times. Now we are getting good water, and we thank the government. Say thank you when it's something. What are you going to do, kill the government? So please, don't kill yourself. Live for your family. God bless you.
Thank you, and God
Yes,
bless you too.
Thank you. And for that 3 years in office, we had given communities water for the first time. Many communities water for the first time. Communities received street lighting for the first time, electricity for the first time. And so I'm even looking at a situation at Perica Facet there where a community is asking me to intervene in having the Ministry of Public Infrastructure assist them with the material. They already had discussions with GPL, and GPL asked them to procure the material. They will set it up, but they cannot afford all the materials, so they're asking for assistance. So this is the way the government will operate. And that community, no electricity for 20 years. Never saw a single light bulb. And this is, this you could say is a populated area. It's Perica. It's an area which is qualified to be a town.
That's right.
And to know that people have no electricity, and this is under the 23 years of the previous government. So we are doing things which you are not have no knowledge about. And so I'm happy that Minister Ferguson and I hope other ministers will take the opportunity to come in and represent their ministry. Caller, you in there.
Hello,
Please,
Mr. Sharma.
please lower the volume of your radio or television. Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Sharma.
Yes.
I was listening to Mr. Jabio talking about this oil problem. This is my problem. He talking about the money that ExxonMobil GR. What about they never exposed that oil in this country that they know about oil since 1990. What about the money that they collect where they clean the flying all over the place with? That's the money that they collect before and they never tell nobody. But they're trying now to run this government down with the 20 million. Understand? So I want to know why fighting this government down and they used to draw money before.
Okay, good, thank you. I'm going to say to you, don't be distracted. When you have two set of individuals, groups, parties, political parties, making individual statements, people tend to listen to one or the other and they'll be distracted. And you take that as gospel. We need to put them together to debate the issue. So if this leader of the opposition, who's an expert in every single thing, is a one-man press conference, not like myself in this program, I have other persons. I'm no expert. So what we need is if the Honorable Dr. Barjagio want to speak about the oil sector, oil and gas sector, what the government did wrong, then he should say to the Minister of the responsible Minister of Natural Resources and any other minister that may be on the agenda with the areas that he's speaking about to rebut him. But to have press conference and only you speaking and not hearing the other side, and the other side is not willing to speak, then we have this situation where you have this impression. You're speaking about 20, it figures like 18, and you know what the 18 was for? The minister himself, Minister Tratman, went before the Natural Resources Committee, which was chaired by Odinga Lubumba, a member of the PAPC, or Colin Smalsey, and he asked the question, what the money was for, and he said, the minister said, look, we didn't want to alert Venezuela that we're preparing for a court case in international court. And, you know, it's the interest of the company itself, ExxonMobil, to assist in whatever way it can, because if we allow Venezuela to do what they want to do, well then we losing out as a country of 66.66% of the land space. You Guyanese are losing out from that opportunity. And so this company also will lose out from this oil and gas. So it was in the interest of everyone to have that money given as a bonus. And for a matter of fact, the previous government did the same with CGX when they had the issue with Suriname. But they never tell you that. So the minister explained, Minister of Natural Resources, Minister Trotman, that majority of that money, I think 15 million, will be going to pay lawyers to defend our matter that is right now before the International Court of Justice. And the other $3 million is to deal with other works in terms of training of our people and assisting in other activities. That was the explanation. But Odinga Lubum, the chairman of the committee, had no problem with that. He have an explanation. So why is the leader of the opposition trying to brainwash the people of Guyana, telling them something else, when his own chairman, his own committee are comfortable with the answer? And so there's the further issue of why you didn't say anything to the public. It was addressed. We didn't want to alert the Venezuelan government. And why we put it in an account, and you put it in an account to get interest, because we don't need it now. And you don't want to intermingle the funds with the funds from the consolidated account, because the consolidated bank account is overdraft under the PAPC administration. And if you put it in there, it will only reduce the overdraft. And so the Minister of Finance, that's Minister Jordan, explained the mechanics and the reasoning behind it, which again, it was done publicly at a press conference. The reporters didn't have anything to say about it. But of course, don't get don't get sidetracked. This is the purpose of the opposition, is to oppose. Caller in here.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Sharma.
Yes,
good afternoon to the Minister
Good afternoon.
of Public Infrastructure, the Junior Minister.
Good
I'm
afternoon,
calling
sir.
from Parfait Harmony. For the longest while, middle income, for the longest while, our roads is in the deplorable state. Right? Now look, you must know with this rain that's falling. I spoke to Mr. Sharma concerning Parfait a few times ago. But the roads now, people gotta park the vehicle home. You could imagine you can't drive out the roads. People got to be searching to see a particular street if they could get and navigate and go through. It's terrible. You can't drive in none of the streets in the middle income area. And I'm speaking about this for the longest while. The previous minister, the Minister of Housing, Ms. Patterson, she said that she would do something this year. I spoke about that. Nothing is being done. And we can't drive, people can't even walk, taxi coming in. Y'all gotta come in this middle income right now and see what's going on. I know the minister could help us right now. I don't know, but I'm pleading to see if they can do a couple of streets or something so we can get a relief. The residents of this area could get a relief. Another thing, Minister, concerning these speed humps. Now you put 2 sacks of cement in your car and you're driving. And your bottom hitting up, apparently these speed humps are too high in certain areas. It's damaging people's vehicles. Y'all have to pay more attention to these contractors when they're putting down those speed humps. These speed humps, so yeah, you got a little load in your car and your bottom scraping and that. People look right in front of me, somebody bottom scrape out and gone. Like, man, look, Minister, please, see if you can help us.
Okay, well, the caller is a regular caller. He complains about the roads in his community, like many other callers. I did investigate this particular matter, and I said that whilst Minister Patterson, then now Patterson Yearwood, would indicate that she would do something. Yes, they had money, but the government took a conscious decision to take $2 billion out of their money to purchase land for housing development, and to also at the same time bail out Gaisuku. So as a result of that, that promise that was made by that minister could no longer stand. And so we have to dig a hole to fill the next hole. To dig a hole to fill the next hole, you have a hole. It means I have to dig a hole. The Ministry of Public Infrastructure and the ministers indicated, this particular minister sitting beside me on my right, indicated that, it's not always the responsibility of the Ministry of Public Infrastructure for every single road, but they will assist. I spoke to Minister Patterson. He said to me, "You're the Minister of Finance. Give me some more money, and I'm going to do it." How I could give him money? We don't get money like that. I will have to ask the next ministry to give up some of their money for infrastructure to get their money. But Minister Ferguson, give your side of what you could do.
Yes, Minister Sharma, I just want to let the caller know that the concerns raised by residents, they're inundated. We have been receiving repeatedly every day. You would get a phone call about the state of the roads in Parfait Harmony. But what the Ministry of Public Infrastructure would have done, and even before I go there, I just want to support the point made by Minister Sharma earlier relative to the sums that had to be supported to help offset payments to Gaisuku. But outside of that, as I said before, we are aware of what is happening in Parfait Harmony. But the Ministry of Public Infrastructure will indeed give the necessary intervention. What we have done, both myself and Minister Patterson, we engaged Minister Bolkan, Minister of Communities, to see, because right now we have the mobile asphalt plant on the west bank of Demerara, affecting some roads, I think in number 1 and 2 canals, right? So we said, rather than us demobilizing the asphalt plant, have it brought back to Georgetown here on the East Bank. Once funds are made available through Central Housing and Planning Authority, We will take the asphalt, that mobile asphalt plant, into Parfait Harmony and at least address some of the critical roads. So where are we today, Carla? Is that the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, we are waiting on a feedback from Central Housing and Planning Authority. And once we receive the feedback and the monies are made available, rest assured, we will come and give the necessary support, do the necessary intervention, working in collaboration with the Ministry of Communities. I understand your pains. We understand the discomfort that you people have to face. But at the same time, your government got to put certain systems in place. And we have to follow certain procedures so as to ensure we don't find ourselves wanting. So the roads in Parfait will be addressed. I don't want to publicly state here this afternoon when, but I would want to safely say that I guess before the end of 2018, you will see some amount of intervention being done there in Parfait Harmony. Yes, we have been receiving complaints about the shape and the sizes of some of these speed humps. I know for a fact that in Georgetown, we did had numerous complaints and the ministry would have addressed some of them. With respect to the ones on the west coast there, in Parfait in particular, I have made a note of this, and this will be shared with the department responsible, and we will try to address the sizes of those speed humps in your community. And the ministry apologizes for all the discomfort you people face it.
Yes, thank you, Minister. But also, as a Minister of Finance, I would also be not just in dialogue with a ministry. We're in dialogue with every single ministry. I know the situation of every single ministry. And I could tell you that the Ministry of Communities is requesting additional funds for housing and nothing for a road. And so that's the difficulty there. So as I said to the cause, I'm digging one hole to fill in the other. And it's like your life. If you want something, you have to deprive yourself of something else to get what you want. So who would you want I deprive of anything? You tell me. So you want to deprive health? You want to deprive education? You want to deprive agriculture? What you want, or where you want to take the money from? You want road, the minister, Patterson going to say, you provide the money, I do the road. Minister say, before we move the asphalt plant, we want to finish as much as possible the works in that region before we move it to Region 4, carry it to Region 5 or any other region. We want to deal with those issues. Understandable. But she also says she's waiting on a response of community, and I know the situation with community. Mr. Rahman?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that. You see, a lot of these road humps were made in the last government by people just, it was all sheer anarchy. People putting roadblocks, humps anywhere. But what this government, I notice you're doing is you have a control. The roadblocks in Georgetown are very good. Not only in the sense of stopping the speeding, but also protecting people on streets that you had a lot of accidents, like the one on Smythe Street. You had a lot of accidents there, but those road humps have actually slowed up the cars. Everybody looking, and you get enough time to go across.
And that's the purpose for the humps.
That is the purpose of the hump, and that was done scientifically. The ones before the last government wasn't done. It was hear-em, scare-em, and it reflected the hear-em, scare-em, Mr. Dagdio, how he did things without no proper understanding, methodology, or help, or sort of benefit to the community at large. So people need to understand, and I'm glad that you're here, because what you're doing here, you're adding to what we have been doing over the years. Mr. Sharma been here, now you come here, and I think that a lot of people who are calling in will get direct dialogue from response from you.
Yeah.
and you tell them the truth.
Yes.
What you can do and what you
Yes.
can't do and what they should be doing.
Mhm.
One of the persons raised the issue about self-help, which Mr. Burnham had implemented. So we give them the material and they do the work there in the area and with some technical persons. That is something I think we need to examine.
Okay.
And we'll go very far away in involving the community and letting them do things for themselves.
Okay.
Yes, we believe in self-help, and we also at the Ministry of Public Infrastructure have the Work Services Group, which instead of going out to the public to have the contractors to bid for work, they undertake the work because they procure the material and they have the labor force that will do
Exactly.
these works.
Yeah, that's
and you have it
through
at
the
a-
special projects unit.
yeah, special
Yeah,
project
so-
units of the Work Services Group.
Yeah. So what we're trying to do, or what we have started to do as a ministry, is that, try to build capacity, not only in terms of human, but also the requisite equipment to effect the work. So by doing that, rather than us giving out contracts, right? We will now we have now equipped that unit so that they can go in to the various communities, right, to effect the necessary road maintenance
And-
work.
That is how they manage to have savings to do other roads.
Very good,
Caller,
very good.
yeah, yeah.
After Mr. Sharma.
Yes.
Yeah.
After Mr. Patterson.
Ferguson.
Ferguson.
I'd like to know,
Ferguson.
these
Ferguson.
contractors that you guys giving out work, or subcontractors or regional contractors giving out work, they need some money there that they need to come and look at these roads before they have payments that has been done. Because look, a road was done in Melanissima Road a couple of days ago, and I was telling Mr. Sharma about this. I just get it done somehow or the other. But I want you to come and look at the road. There was no rolling compressing on this road, just the vehicle was compressing this road. Now the asphalt road. Now if you come and look at it, there's some asphalt like just half-inch, and the road cracked already. Now if you look at it, the same spot that the hundreds of cars was sitting there. Now if you come tomorrow or which other day, you can see this road has been cracked already. Now if the rain comes again or whatever vehicle traverses on that area, it's going to become an next so thing. So sometimes we throw money and dog back. I'm not saying the road is not doing, but somebody needs to look at it before payments has been done. Because when you pay millions of dollars of taxpayers' money to someone that do halfway work, or shabby work is called it's not good. Because it's good money for bad work. As a business person, you look at it, if you pay good money, you can get good work. You pay millions of dollars to get good work done, but sometimes it doesn't go. You need to get someone in high authority before this money pays out to look at the road, and if it doesn't done properly, you need to fix it before money has been paid. Because if you come now, you can see someone start to spot in the road, you can drive, and even if you drive, you walk in and see the road crack already.
Okay, thank you, caller. And look, I receive complaints even before they paved the road that the shoulders, they had issues with the shoulders. And today I'm getting confirmation. What I'm saying, and I said before in the program, don't ask me for more work. Those communities that get in roads, come to us, the government, and say, look, you are residents of this community, and the contractor is doing poor work, so we could stop them. We could recover the money. We could get better contractors. So if we could save on a road being done by a contractor that is charging an exorbitant price to give shoddy work, and we could have better contractors doing better job, and for long-lasting road, we have money to do more roads. But if you're going to do a road every 6 months, in no way I could move on to the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and go on. So I'm happy for this caller. And this is the purpose. We also have the general department to also to examine these works and report to the National Assembly. From that, we have a feedback. The deficiency, which, as the caller pointed out, it may be at the level of the engineer or the consultancy, who you actually pay consultants to look over these guys. We have engineers in the regions, we have engineers in the ministry, but still we have shoddy work. And that decision was taken when I was in the opposition, sitting in the PAC, that we going to start naming persons. Name the engineer.
Name and shame.
Name and shame. And that was some of the things that we was focusing on. So, Minister Ferguson, you have a complaint now before you an official complaint, and I hope you will send your team up there and to check and investigate and report to me exactly what is the situation with that road.
All right, Minister Sharma, if I may make an intervention here. First of all, we would have to establish whether the road was actually done under the Ministry of Public Infrastructure
Correct.
or the region. Because mind you, in some case, in some areas, you would have the region or the NDC executing road works. So that's the first thing we need to establish. But I will do my homework, right? Outside of that, I want to say to the caller or to the viewers out there that at the level of the municipality, at the level of the RDC, the NDC, even Ministry of Public Infrastructure, you will have clerk of works. You will have engineers from these various agencies. When works are being executed, especially civil works, you will have these categories of individuals will work along with the contractor to ensure that if the road needs 2 inches thick of asphalt, we get in that. That is the purpose for the regional engineers and also for the clerk of works to ensure that we get in value for money. But I want to say this to residents, to Guyanese at large. When projects are being executed in your communities, it is your responsibility. If you're not aware of the scope of work, the specification of the project and all manner of thing, you make contact with the ministries, you make contact with the region, you make contact with the NDC bodies just to get an idea of how this project ought to be executed, the cost of the project amongst every other thing. So if the engineer or the clerk of work fails to turn up, it will be your responsibility to be the eye, the ear, the nose, the mouth, and everything else for the government. Because at the end of the day, it is our monies that goes towards infrastructural projects, and we have to ensure that government gets value for money.
Can I make a comment?
Well, I must say what Minister Ferguson pointed out there is you are the watchdog. What she identifies a dog, and you is that dog. It's your money. It's not our money. It's your money building that road.
Exactly.
And you, not we the government, you want value for money and you have a right. So if you're not getting these documentations, like the bills of quantity, the specification, let myself, Minister Ferguson, or whoever may be interested in knowing that you're not getting these information, I would like to see you to be the watchdog.
Charles.
Mr. Griffith?
As an engineer, 2 things. Most of these roads in these districts are designed poorly from the beginning and constructed poorly. How they're laid out relative to the drains, what have you, and the foundation is bad.
Infrastructure.
So what has actually happened, you have a hole, they go and they put something over without actually correcting the problem. Most times, 99.9% of the time is the foundation is a problem. So until the ministry start to, in my opinion, start looking at the foundation, if you're going to spend X amount of dollars to fix this road, I would suggest if the road is 200 feet, you fix 50 feet. And you tell the residents, we're going to fix 50 feet, and that 50 feet will last 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years. Most of the road network in Guyana, in the communities, are poorly designed. There's no foundation.
Historical problem.
So you go all the time put in, where you put, before you, long ago, in the 60s, when they go to fix a road, they come and they cut out a part, where they fix the foundation, and they fix. What we have now is a lot of patchwork, yes, remedial work and what have you, but 99% of these roads in these communities, even existing villages, the foundation is bad, and nobody's addressing the foundation. So the engineers should address the foundation and start fixing the roads with the amount of money that you have. So I would say take a critical look at the road relative to the drainage and what have you. You come fixing the road and the drain, the water is right up here. You come and you fix. It's going to collapse again.
True.
So the infrastructure were poorly laid out and poorly designed, I would say so. I've been an engineer for over 40 years and I do a lot of these in the United States. So I'm not criticizing the government. It's what you inherited.
Yeah, Mr. Griffith,
Okay, it's what
these
you
are
do.
elementary, and I would expect that these things are done. This government is going with double asphalted concrete. We're not doing crusher run road. Rarely will do it because that lasts for a year or 2 or 6 months. But with a good asphalted concrete, you could have a road for 10 to 15 years, and that is the way we want to go. It's more expensive, but you know you wouldn't have to touch back that road if you have that kind of preparation that Mr. Griffith is speaking about. So Mr. Griffith was introduced by me to the Ministry of Infrastructure because I know he have the ability, and I even sent him to Minister Ferguson to see if Minister Ferguson could employ him.
Yes.
You have to-
And
you have to
again, I'm
look-
making a next pitch on your behalf, Mr. Griffith.
No, you
that
have
it
to
could
look
be,
at the road relative to drainage,
Yes.
relative to even the lots. of
Call on
the
India.
layout. You have to
Yes.
look at it holistically.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to Madam Minister Patterson.
No,
Ferguson.
You keep missing
I understand. It is Ferguson.
Confusing we when you said Minister Sharma, Minister Ferguson, Madam Minister Ferguson.
Okay, good.
Now, I'm craving your indulgence in just this, as I spoke with Bucket before, in Clambrook there, the road is done very well. The contractor that do it, I give him a plus. And so the one is only that in north, the school on narrow and the teachers are just park their vehicle. What I understand is they
Who was the
material is
contractor?
limited.
Who was the
And I
contractor?
kindly ask
Call
if you could
call
a little of that material to patch the road at the station where you go to make police report and the police got to come for go for the criminal. It is bad because the people there got some vehicle and they make big hole, not only big hole, they tear away the old park pit and all these things. Please, if you could get some of that, we could be thankful. And the main public road, the main highway coming to Region 4 to go to Region 6 from Georgetown, you got some terrible old Allen Newton's wheel there, and when you decide cyclists go shy from it, and the car was shy from it, somebody gone upside it down, tumbling because nobody wants to go in the hole. And I'm so very thankful for this one, and I please ask them, before they come out there with the equipment, just please let them patch up the road and all vehicles, especially these heavy-duty vehicles that park on the shoulder of the road, they must park in the yard because the vehicle that belongs to the people are parking it still. They live comfortable way they live in, and the driver parking there destroy our community. I'm craving your indulgence, and we need to get that fixed because it's causing problem in our community.
Okay, Carla,
Thank
before you
so
go,
very much.
before you go, wait, before
got
you
a big criminal to deal with. Please, Mr. Sharma, I don't know why you don't get back the other line.
Before
yet,
you
but
go,
that
Carl-
company needs to, something has to be done. GT&T, you
GT&T.
pay for what you done, what you know about.
That's correct.
And you
GT&T
need to
gotta
look
be
into
dealt with.
that. Thank you. very
wait a minute. Who is the contractor that did that wonderful job?
The brother, tell you the truth, it's some African brothers. I
All right,
know them,
good.
but they
Good,
do it-
thank you. So what I want in the program is if the caller for Melanie, and this is a village, Bornham village named after his daughter, and you don't want that kind of quality of work there. I want to know the contractor name. And that caller that spoke about Cranbrook, I will need to know the contractor that is doing good work. Ministry of Finance, the National Procurement and Administration Board, they're working on ways in which they could identify poor contractors and maybe have a debarment, a blacklisting. I could say Minister Patterson work along with myself and the chairman of the tender board, Mr. Wickham, to do a performance register for the contractors that is carry out work for his ministry. And so each and every other ministries and region needs to have such a record. So when it comes to evaluation of a tender, that the evaluation committee could be given something to go with and say, hey, this person may be cheap, but the history is poor.
Is the committee established according to the newspaper?
the whole process is being reviewed. The entire law is
Yeah.
insufficient. So
Mhm.
the Procurement Act itself that was prepared and developed under the PAPC need to be revised.
So right
So
now, I
we
think
have-
we're in consultation.
Yeah, we have a consultancy to look
Yeah.
at that. So
Right.
this is one of the areas in the law for debarment. We could look at it, but a ministry, a department, a region could have a performance register. Nothing hard and nothing against the law that you have a performance register and say this contractor performed well or performed poorly. So you would not make the same mistake twice. The problem is that if that contractor did bad work for infrastructure, they may be going to community and getting a job. So how will we share that information? That ministry could only protect themselves from that contractor, but the others are open and exposed.
See, when readers read this, is this a misrepresentation? Is what the government wants to do.
Yes.
Mhm.
This headline is a misrepresentation.
The caller in there.
Hello?
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good
Please lower the
afternoon.
volume of the
This is a
television.
call from Wakanam.
Yes.
Our road is in a deplorable condition. We are begging one pontoon load across the road can solve our problem. So
Okay.
we hope and pray
Which
that
which particular road?
the whole island road in Wakanam,
Okay. And how much crusher run you say could solve the problem?
one pontoon load, a
One
large
pontoon.
pontoon load of Costeran
Uh-huh.
can solve our problem.
Okay, good. I should make a trip there then. All right, good.
So you're welcome anytime.
So are you proposing that it done by the community because you say one pontoon load of crush and run? Are you proposing that it's been done by the community as a self-help project?
There are areas where nobody live and you wouldn't have community work there.
All right, good, thank you. No, what I just want to get it, the caller make it so simple. You send just one pontoon load. So I send a pontoon load at crush and run tomorrow and it sits there. No, so it's not as simple as you put it. We have to evaluate the situation. So Minister Ferguson,
Yes.
may take that on.
I know of the road situation there in Wakenham because I was there on several occasions and quite recently, just over a month and a half ago. So this is not, news to me, but I am quite sure for 2018, the Ministry of Public Infrastructure in our work program, we have some amount of intervention to do in Wakenham. So let not your heart be troubled,
What about
my
Leg
dear.
One?
Leg One, well, we did Leg One, the whole ring road in Leg One between
Yes.
2016, 2017.
Good,
So
we have
Leg One,
good.
as it is right now, they
Good.
have good roads. But the
And they
focus
will be
now
having
should be,
a stallion, a new stallion.
yes, because we
Right?
have
Yeah.
tenders out right now inviting bidders to bid for the stelling there.
See, your
at Leg-
presence here is so
Leg One.
important. See,
So tell
I didn't even know
Tell
that.
me, Mr. Ferguson, what works is yet to be completed that the callers and listeners may have some hope? What works is yet to be completed?
Yeah, tell us.
Which works where?
Any work, any road that, any new?
Well,
any
you know,
work
the
that-
Ministry of Public Infrastructure, we continue to do works in the various communities.
What about the Hugo
Um,
Road? That's terrible. One of the things, Minister, I know you're here, I wanted to raise that. I had written a lot, in the past I've written a lot about having a road squad, meaning you can repair the roads rather than these potholes, rather than allowing them to get bad. I see, when you go around the turn at Parika, you did a good piece of job there.
Mhm.
And so when people are going with speed, I broke my tire and everything, rim and everything last week because of the potholes, and you can't see them, and they don't have lights.
Okay.
So what about the lighting situation on the road?
Okay, lighting situation on the road.
Yeah.
All right.
Any plans to know? Look, as I said, people outside there don't like to be fooled. If we tell them the truth, and as Mr. Sharma always does, this is being done, you want us to shift it into that area, tell us. Because this is what is allocated. This is what is available. We don't have more money. Because the money has been stolen and all kinds of things. So we need to get back the money and we need to
Okay,
get more.
thank you. I noticed the operator is generous beyond our time. Could
Yeah.
indicate what time we have. I'm happy that we have additional time so Minister Ferguson could take some questions.
Well,
Caller in the air.
okay.
Hi, yes, good day.
Yes.
Good day.
Trying forever to get onto the program.
Yes.
Minister, there's a situation I'd like to, if you could cast your mind. Let me see, Hunter Street, the area from Mandela right through the front road. Just picture this, right? And then there is Lamar Street from the St. John Road to Milton Street. And then there is Milton Street from Duncan Street right to David Street. They all have one thing in common. They have a drain, a trench running alongside them.
Sinking.
They're all falling in. They keep falling. This is since I was a little boy. It was a little boy. I mean, it's 60s now. This thing keep recurring all the time. All they do is pat it up and it falls back. Pat it up and it falls back.
You need
I think the
revetment.
engineers need to understand that they need revetment, like they're doing on the highway, going up there, those concrete revetment.
Yes.
Those areas need a strong concrete revetment that when you do the road, it will stay something concretized and done. Instead of have to be patting, taxpayers' money is wasting all the time on that. When you could be doing another road somewhere, Vietnam or whatever.
Yes.
Very good.
Do something proper so it will last. Right? Next thing, when there's a particular troublesome area where the road might be sinking and this sort of thing. In America, I've lived over there for a little while. They're doing concrete roads. Why can't we emulate that in some
We're
areas
doing
where
concrete roads in the
In
interior.
Madia.
you could go to
Even there,
Latam,
yeah.
and you could go to Region 8 and you see concrete. I was there, I said, hey, you have concrete
concrete
roads.
roads? It's better than using the asphalt thing because the asphalt falls apart. This strong concrete road, they take off any truck, anything. Because those people over there have some big heavy duty things that they run on the road up for ages and nothing goes wrong with it.
Yes.
Why can't we emulate that?
Good, thank you. So there's a number of models that we're working on, and Minister can tell you about some of the ideas that she have to deal with the interior road using chemicals. And so, look, I'm saying you don't know what we're doing. I visited Region 8, Maria, and these people have concrete drains and roads and water lines. And I went to, Region 9, Latem, and I look at the works that are being doing there. It's incredible. Incredible.
We need to
So,
show some of that on television.
We need to go out and do that.
All right, Minister Sharma, gentlemen, let me just address the two questions we got not so long ago. With respect to the concrete roads, we know that this model is being used right now in Region Number 8 in Madio, right? And residents are very appreciative of what is happening there. But I want to say this: just in 2016, 2017, Fairview and Surama Airstrip, what we would have done, because these areas, these airstrips were probably had loom surfaced. So what we have done, the ministry with one of the contractors, we would have explored using like a stabilized material. So if you land now on the Fairview airstrip, you won't have that backup of dust affecting persons, because the material that was used is, so whenever it rains, the area is not even soggy, right? The water just...
Which contractor using that technology?
I think it is JR Ranch.
Right, yes.
JR Ranch. So, these things, we're exploring at this point in time, so that at least, we can have asphalt and the stabilized materials.
Okay, before I go to the next caller, one of the biggest issue, and a caller even say Minister Patterson admitted to dropping the ball, and I say balls, and I said no, Minister Patterson never admitted to dropping no balls. It's Minister, the former Minister, Anin Andral, say he admitted dropping the balls in relation to the cybercrime bill, when he didn't do his job or his party didn't do the job. But the question was in relation to the question posed by the Chief Whip of the PAPC in relation to the deplorable condition of the interior road, Guilty Shira. Let me hear, for the purpose of the viewing public, listening public, what the ministry planned to do with that road situation.
Well, Sharma, I know we had a private member's motion moved in the National Assembly on Thursday by the Honorable opposition member, Madam Gail Teixeira, with respect to the Linden to Lethem Road, because as we all aware of what is happening there, you know, trucks being overturned and all manner of things. But I just want to make it clear, in 2015 when we took government, the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, the particular stretch of road was under the remit of the Ministry of Public Infrastructure. 2015, we executed maintenance work. 2016, we did so. 2017, we did so. But what happened in November, I think if my memory serves me accurate, the 24th of November 2017, Cabinet gave an approval for the stretch of road, the Linden to Lethem Road, to now come under the Ministry of Natural Resources, with the responsibility of GGMC executing maintenance work on those roads. But the contract was only signed in May of 2018, because, you know, with the whole procurement system and so forth. But from January to even June of 2018, the Ministry of Public Infrastructure would have executed maintenance work on the stretch.
And they had no problem.
Right? And it ain't had no problem. 53, we spent in excess of 53 million Guyana dollars. So even though Cabinet gave its approval for the road now to come under GGMC, but because of the procurement system, we decided to continue maintaining until we settle that. The contracts were awarded to MMC, JR Ranch, because they were divided into lots. JR Ranch, I mentioned MMC, the and R Construction Company, International Imports. They are currently mobilized. They are currently executing works on the stretch of road. So to say that the government is uncaring, just to use the honorable member words, you know, we were uncaring and all manner of things. The government did what it had to do. But because of the rains upon us at this moment, the contractors, they cannot get to work effectively. And just before going to the National Assembly on Thursday, I had a conversation with one of the engineers, one of the contractors, sorry. And he did say to me, Minister, look, I have checked in with my team on the ground there, but, you know, because the rain is really causing a major setback on the road. So we know that, you know, the ministry, the government will continue to give its necessary support to bring the relief to the people. But I want to make this public, and it is in the public's domain, that the government of Guyana, right, would have gotten support from the UK SIF funds. We will be receiving some funds from the UK SIF to do from Linden to Mabura. Right?
What kind of road?
Well, what we intend to do, hopefully, I would want to see, you know, well-stabilized road, because we had the feasibility.
All-weather road,
well, we're
asphalted
looking at
road.
all-weather road.
Yeah.
Right?
Not laterite. Not the laterite. Okay, no, but the important thing is that you indicated also that the ministry will take back the responsibility?
Yes, the ministry, because right now as it is, we have a 1-year maintenance contract, right? And the 1-year maintenance contract commenced from May of 2018 to May of 2019. So after that 1 year would have been expired, the ministry next year, we will take full responsibility of having the road returned under our remit. So as it is right now, once you're traveling the Linden to Lethem stretch, you should be seeing stockpile of laterite or materials, and should be seeing equipment along with workmen being in various lots executing maintenance work on that stretch of road.
The issue with the timber bridge and so collapsing and the overweight of this truck, what mechanism the ministry?
Well, you know, the ministry
will
will
put
be
in
addressing that, you know, because it is a concern for us.
Will they
you know.
be seeking compensation from these people that overloading the truck and damaging the
Well, we
public infrastructure?
Well, we haven't explored that. So I guess with whatever mechanism to come into effect, perhaps that might be one up for
Is
consideration.
there any
But-
rangers who are still checking on these trucks to ensure they're not overloaded before they cross the bridge?
Well, we have in all the regions, the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, we have regional engineers who's supposed to be monitoring not only the roads, but I guess, the type of trucks that are going into these communities.
Of scales
And
to
how-
measure
how-
them?
Well, we will be procuring some scales, and these will be placed at strategic areas. And I guess when we source that, it will become public as to where these
Mr. Griffith, I
different,
know you're a
thing will be
technical person. Give us your input here. What could be done to deal with the
Let's
inlet
talk
terminal?
about the stabilizing of the airstrip. I've done that. Normally, before you put on any paving, you do soil testing, the soil bearing a little bit. And
Obviously.
that will tell you exactly how much lime to put to stabilize.
Mhm.
Okay? And it just depends on the soil structure.
Mhm.
Okay? But in Guyana, because of our soils themselves, the soil being allowable is not robust enough. Okay? And the thing to do is to use a flexible concrete paving that can handle that. What has happened in most of the interiors, the area, the topography needs to be analyzed critically for just a depression. When it rains, water is going to come there, groundwater is going to come there, and it's going to affect the foundation of the road. So unless the entire road, all the depressions and streams are analyzed on the 100-year storm, and you see that on the Bartical Road too, there's some small depressions, and then they say this here, what actually happened destroys very quickly. So you have to analyze every depression, every stream, every creek before you actually do a design. And the bridges should be able to carry 20 tons, all bridges. Are you be clear?
But besides that, because I know
20 tons.
Minister Patterson would have made it clear in the National Assembly on Thursday that one of the main concerns too on that stretch of road is as a result of the absence of drainage. Because of the area, that stretch not having proper drains to take, no drains at all, to take the water off. This is what, facilitates,
Undermines.
what is happening on that particular stretch.
Okay, Minister. Well, once again, I'm putting Mr. Charles Griffith before you again. I will send the CV over again to your ministry. So, Mr. Hamid, before we wrap up, your closing remark.
I want to congratulate the minister to boldly come here, and she's welcome to sit on this program if she wants. And you can see from today, you are hearing the callers.
Mhm.
They do have problems, and you're addressing it properly. You're telling them the truth,
Mhm.
and that's what you want. The Guyanese people want a government that is accountable, that is not afraid to tell them what they're doing and what they can't do.
Mhm.
And once you tell them that, they'll be happy.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Mr. Griffith.
With respect to the oil, I am one individual who's advocating that we should have a 15,000 to 20,000 barrel refinery, primarily not to make a profit. If there are 105 products on the market, of which oil, petroleum is the base, our University of Guyana will provide students that we will learn how to make those 105 products in time. Let's not make the same mistake with bauxite. There are 55 products I have here, where bauxite is the base. We have all the grades of bauxite and we produce none. So let's not do the same thing with the oil. We're not going to make a profit with 15 to 25,000 barrels, but we will learn to build capacity to make those products 105 products.
What about a refinery?
It's a refinery, a small refinery, not to make a profit, but to build capacity for us in the future.
Yes,
That's
Mr.
one
Ferguson.
thing. With respect, one other thing I need to say. With respect to paving roads, you always do paving and drainage together. Always do paving and drainage together. And for that reason, why I'm saying in the communities, that was not the thinking, even on the highways. You must do paving and drainage together simultaneously.
So to the
That's all.
Honorable Madam Minister Ferguson.
Yeah.
You're perfect advice.
Yes, I heard him well. Well learned,
remarks.
well learned. All right. Once again, Minister Sharma, thank you for having me on this program with these two goodly learned gentlemen, and I've learned a lot here this afternoon. But however, while the discussion was basically on roads, bridges, lights, and all that is happening in the various communities, let us not forget one thing. And if I don't return to this program before then, let me say it now publicly. Local government elections, the date has been set.
12th of November.
It's 12th of November 2018. And to my dear Guyanese brothers and sisters in the NDC areas, in the municipality areas, you see what we would have given you in 2016. But you know what happened? Majority of the NDC areas, if my memory serves me accurate, it might be about 75%. Of 70% of the NDC areas are controlled by the People Progressive Party Civic.
By Tadeo.
But let me say this. By that being done, our communities, your roads, your bridges, your lights, your playgrounds, and all infrastructural things around your community remain the same. Why? Because the mantra of the People's Progressive Party Civic is not to cooperate with this government. It's to allow us to look bad. But we have to change that. So come November 12th, 2018, if you want a beautified community, if you want to see improved roads, improved drainage, amongst every other thing, you have to turn up in your numbers and vote solidly for Partnership for National Unity and the Alliance for Change. And you will see the results. You're seeing it at the central level. The Ministry of Public Infrastructure is doing wonderful works in this country. The Ministry of Communities, they too are doing their bit. And all the other ministries are doing what is expected of us. But we at the local level, we have the vote, we have the voice, and we have to turn up in our numbers to throw our support so that we can get good roads and a perfect community to live in. And let me end by saying this, that the Ministry of Public Infrastructure continue to change the landscape of this country. And let me say to all Guyanese, Sharma, I'm very passionate when it comes to politics and people. You're hearing that we're a one-term government. But I want to echo some of the sentiments shared by the honorable men in this studio this afternoon. The only way, things cannot be done in 1 year, 5-year term. We can't measure 3 years as against 23 years. But in order for us to see what Guyana has to offer in the future, you have to ensure that the right set of people remain in government. We have started, but the only way we can continue is that you have to give your support to this government. So come 2020, we have business to take care of because the APNU, AFC must return to government so that your lives, your community, and by extension, this nation can be a prosperous and a good nation for all of us to live a good life. So with those few words said again, Mr. Sharma, I thank you once again for affording me the opportunity to be here. And I thank you to all Guyanese for giving me your listening ears and an attentive eye. And may God richly bless us all. May God continue to bless our government. And may God continue to bless this beautiful nation. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you, Honorable Minister, Madam Minister Ferguson. and I know you're nominated to be
It's a
a
good-
vice chair
good
of
campaign
the
speech.
PNCR. I'm wondering if you should not be amongst the three to be contesting for the
That's
chairmanship
okay, that's
of the
okay.
PNCR. You
Okay,
made a
that is
wonderful
okay.
speech, and you appeal to the people, the general public, for their support. I hope they listen to you loud and clear. They learn about some of the situations that we're facing as a young government. And also, what is important is that you are here today to share some of the issues that facing the public and what your ministry can do. This program is open to all ministers that are willing to join the program. I invite you anytime you are here that you would like to be on the program. You're free to be on the program. The programs extend to other ministers. And to say to Mr. Griffith, and the focus of the government is on STEM. If you look at the University of Guyana, and you see they recently broke the soil for a mathematics and a science department, a dedicated department only for mathematics and science, and that is to add to the already technology engineering department. You put that together, it spells STEM. And so this is the focus, because the Vice Chancellor is aware that the demands of the country and the brain that it will need to develop this country is in the hands of him and the University of Guyana. And so he's hiring professors that will teach these oil and gas mechanics and subjects that they will go forward. Now Exxon may be saying they're only going to be hiring about 1,500, but Exxon is not the only company that will be drilling oil. There will be much more. So just imagine, you multiply that by 10. And however, Exxon being deep water, ultra deep water, is very technical work. So not every single guy is going to go out there and say we're going to be drilling in those deep waters, ultra deep waters. But there will be work, and there will be local content, and there will also be the possibility and many possibility of you providing many other services to that industry. But we shall not only focus on oil and gas. We can't neglect the agriculture sector and agro-processing. And so that money that will be generated from the share of profit oil will be going towards one of the ministries' infrastructure, a big chunk.
Yeah.
Because we have to develop Guyana. We have to make it conducive to business. We have to build skyscrapers and bridges and bridge all our rivers.
Yes.
So this is the president's vision, bridging the coastland with the hinterland. And so no one must be left behind, and everyone must feel a part of the development and be equal in every way, in every respect. And that equality is in ICT. And so we'll have that technology before us, and everyone will be connected, and everyone will share in the development of this country. These are big dreams for only a 3-year-old government. We have 2 more years. Let us see what's going to happen, and we expecting your support for 2020. Thank you.
Good.